Hi Flosstube, I'm Lori and welcome to Once Upon a Stitch, Take 8. I don't know, I'm just having a hard time this morning. Today is Tuesday, March 15, 2022. It is my 93rd Flosstube and I'm so happy to be with you. Welcome to anybody who's new to me. I hope you stick around and see what I've been up to, and if you like it, I hope you subscribe. What have I been up to? It's been a crazy 2 weeks. Yeah, I don't know where the time has gone. And some days I got a lot of stitching time, and some days maybe not so much stitching time because of other things that came up. I watch my grandchildren. I visit Gianna on days that I don't have Caleb. Um, I don't know. Life gets in the way, and time passes really fast. So I just want to hit a couple of comments that I've had from my last video. Thank you for everybody who entered the giveaway, and even those that didn't but left great comments and shared your stories with me. They were so much fun to read. Some are avid readers, quilters. Some people were grandmothers. I think it was mostly the grandmothers that responded that had like 16, 15, 17 grandchildren. Wow, it must be fun at your house when you all get together. And some are quilters, some shared stories with me. I had said that maybe of the winners I might say what they were interested in or what they shared, but I decided I didn't want to do that because, I don't know, even though you shared it on a public basis, I'm glad you shared it, and I'll leave it at that. Some were funny stories. Some said they had big feet too. Some said they had little feet and were clumsy. So it was a lot of fun to read. So thank you for answering the question. And let's see. Somebody asked me if I would do a home tour. And there's nothing in my home that you'd want to see. It is basically set up for Caleb when he comes over. I have a pop-up tent in the living room. All my furniture is pushed out to the side. I have little vignettes of my decorations, my stitching. So maybe I'll take some pictures and post it on Instagram. And you can see that. But I don't have, like a house that people just, go from corner to corner and there's so much there. Not yet. So hopefully when I do have something like that to share, I'll share a room with you. I think it all started with someone liked the color of my craft room here. And we did look to see if we had a paint can that might have a little bit of blue in it that my husband was saving, but we didn't find the name. And so I'm sorry I can't help you. But basically it's like a light blue. And that's it. Okay, and somebody asked me what color we used on the purple frame that I showed in my last video for the Haunted Mansion by the Tiny Modernist. If you're new, you might want to go back to the previous video. And we used, or he actually, my husband actually sprayed it for me, this Rust-Oleum paint. It's a primer and a paint all in one, and the color was purple right here. And it's for wood, metal, plastic, and more, which says it right there. So my husband, I don't know if he gave it 2 or 3 coats. You do light coats so that they don't hopefully get drips and stuff, or you have to sand it down again and start again. But that was the paint that we used, and somebody made a comment that I was lucky that my husband helped me, and I am lucky. He cut about it, I don't know, 2 years ago. He played with a frame that he cut down, and he made it a square, and then he never did it again. And then Kim Goldman, the Contented Stitcher, put a video out of how she explained how she cuts down her frames and everything. So I had him, watch parts of it, and now if I don't have the perfect size and it could be cut down, he does that for me. And then he paints the frame, whatever color we decide. He's pretty good with colors, actually. Um, so yeah, he's been very helpful to me. I know Kim uses her miter saw, but I'd be afraid of mine. So I'm glad he does help me with that. And let's see, what else? I won a giveaway. It was hosted by the vintage stitcher Arttie, and she was giving away these punch needles, and it's for 1 strand, 3 and 6 stranded threads. So and then the needle gauges and threader came with it. And I have the hoops. I have the Morgan hoops in 2 different sizes, and I tried needle punching once, but I don't know if I liked the needles that I had, and at that time the popular needle wasn't available. I think it is now, but eventually I'd like to give needle punch a try again. So thank you, Arttie. I'm glad that I had the opportunity to put in for that. So what else? Let's see. I'll do my giveaways. I did a giveaway in this last video, and I did a random number generator, and I'll do that at the end, right before I talk a little bit about quilting, just a little bit. So I'm going to show you some finishes. This was a prior finish that I finished with. I just found out I finished in 2018 because when I videotaped this a half an hour ago, I explained that this is attached with magnets and sheet metal, and I have through the lacing I have my date and my name and the town and state that I live in that I had put back there. And what I did to this is how I originally framed it without the rickrack. And I bought this rickrack at Joann's. I bought it with the intention that I'll have something for like spring or Easter to use it on. And when I took this out this year to display, I thought something was missing. It was just too plain for me. So I took out this rickrack, and I think it perks it up. So I added that rickrack to it, and now I'll bring it downstairs and put it in my display. Then I finished, this is Easter Whimsies, and it's from Easter Tale Designs. And the first one, I had showed you like the finished stitching of it, but now I fully finished it. This is just a frame from Hobby Lobby. I think it was 40% off of that price. And I have a little button here. Actually, it's a charm that I put on the ribbon, bunny ribbon. And so now I can display this next to this same designer. Easter Whimsies is the name of the pattern. And the pattern was given to me by my friend Dee. And I put some trim with a button, some rickrack, and I stuffed this with fiber fill, but I also put some walnut shells in here, so to give it some heft because it was so small, and then I just stitched up the bottom. I did line it with interfacing so that the walnut shells don't seep through. I think I've heard people say that they could, so I made sure that I put some fusible interfacing in that. Then, even though I went through this once, I forgot to get the other frames of the storybook stories from Prairie Schooler. This is the tortoise and the hare that I framed. This frame was white, and since this is stitched on a platinum Aida, I didn't like the way the white looked, even though there's a little bit of kind of white in their background. I picked up some paint at Hobby Lobby. It is Deco Art Americana, and it's Desert Cactus is the paint that I used. And I think I put on 2 coats. And it's a matte finish. I do have a varnish if I wanted to put it, but I think with Prairie Schooler, I like the matte finishes. And it's not, you know, like I don't have the same amount of space on the sides as I do on the top and the bottom, but I'm happy with it. And now I have the 3 pigs and Little Red Riding Hood, and now this one. So that's 3. I'm really happy how this came out. And then finally, I framed Country Cottage samplings Forever and Ever. And the only thing I did different here was the L was supposed to have like this golden color in there. I changed it to the red that was called for in the pattern. And I put it in a square frame. It's plastic. I picked this up at Hobby Lobby, the frame, and I don't remember how much it was, but I had shown it when I think when I originally purchased it, because it was the glass was cracked. Somebody must have dropped it and the glass broke, and they had it reduced to, I don't know, a couple of dollars. So, and because it was a perfect square, and I think it measures the 12 by 12, I says, I think I could make that work. And I really like the way this framed up. Righty. And those are my finishes. Okay, March Madness. I can't show you the brackets right now because I moved patterns forward, but I'll show it to you at the end of March Madness. So, before I start March Madness, in my last video, I showed this. It's a chatelaine. It's a mini Mandela mystery number 3. And I did this. I showed the pattern. I said, I'm stitching this. Here's a little, I don't know if you can see that. It's a little thread that I sewn in there so I know which side is up. And I had stitched the 2 like lines all the way around. And that's all I said. I showed it. And it's on a 28 count white Lugana. I forgot to show the picture. And somebody asked me about that, and I said I would show it in this video. So that's what it looks like. Now, I don't know, I ordered the beads and the charms. And when I took this out, the beads are here, but the charms aren't. And I don't know where the charms are. I don't know if I'd purchased them with this or not. It's mini Mandela mystery. It's all in here. So, oh, I see. Maybe it's through there. If you look at it, I didn't open it, but there's some charms in the background, and now I think they're all there. I was bummed out. I'm like, what do I do now? So I have the beads, and now I see where the charms are. They're hiding in the back of the beads. So I feel so much better about it. I'm glad I showed it to you guys. It's the little things that make me happy. Okay, March Madness. The first 2 that were up against each other were, I have my working copy so that I can put it closer, is Blackbird Designs Christmas Garden. And I'm stitching this on a 28 count Platinum Lugana. And this is how far I've gotten on Christmas Garden. Okay, I brought the border down to the bottom, and I brought it down across a little past half, and I stitched the word Christmas. So let's see if I hold it back further. I know you can see through this. This will be a big piece to frame. But it's so pretty, so pretty. And it's only 4 colors, and I'm using the 4 called for colors. Trying to let you see it closer on the screen. And so that was Christmas Garden, and this was up against, let's see, oh, another Blackbird design. Justice for All. And I decided not to do the alphabet nor the numbers. I was going to start right here, Justice for All. The initials, I was putting in USA, and then the bottom. And this goes to show you have to count. because even though the bottom of is all like an outline cross stitch, you got to count, and you got to count right, and then you have to stitch it right after you count it. And the year 2002, I swapped out the O and I did a 2 because there is no numbers in here that to easily swap out the smaller one. So I kind of like did something that I thought matched. And this is Justice for All, and it's a finish. So I'm very happy with this. This is stitched on a 28 count Country Mocha. And I hope I can find a frame that I can finish in time for the 4th of July. So this was a finish, and that was my goal in stitching, choosing patterns that I can possibly finish. And I was going to be happy if I had one finished, but so what moves forward is Christmas Garden now goes to the next level. Okay. Then the next pairing was Little House Needleworks, and it's Little House Neighborhood, and this is stitched with DMC, and I'm stitching this on a 28 count Ivory Lugana, and I really loved the colors in this so much. DMC, and I'm stitching this on a 28 count Ivory Lugana. Somebody asked me why I choose 28 count instead of like 14 count Aida, and I find that the feel of the fabric to me is more enjoyable with a 28 count. I do stitch on Aida. Tortoise and the Hare was Aida, Platinum Aida, but sometimes I feel like it's more of a struggle to stitch on Aida, but I do. I for certain projects I stitch on it, but for certain projects I like stitching on 28 count. I like the feel of the fabric. Okay, so this time I've stitched the center tree. Come on, okay, and I started the house, and I did the sheep, little flowers on the ground, and so this also has another row that has trees and a house and then the saying. So this is not that close to a finish. And this was up against my Templar Prophecy by Long Dog. And that's what it looks like in a pattern. And this is stitched on a 28 count white Lugana. And it's a finish! Yay! Oops, sorry. Yeah, I finished it. I finished page 15, which was down in this corner. It's about here down. And I'm so happy with it. My son hasn't seen it yet, but now that I've shared it with you on my channel, I'll post a picture in the Templar Prophecy group this afternoon and on my Instagram. So I am so happy with that. I should have looked up, let's see, how many days it took me to stitch this. Let's see if I think I counted it up. 65 days, and that is basically doing 2 days a month. That's how many years it took me. And it says 65 because I did this, I completed page 15 in 1 day of my 2-day rotation. So March Madness was 2 days on a project scheduled. And Justice for All and this one were both finished in 1 day. So I gained 2 days of stitching time for something else. So what'll happen is I'll just keep my brackets going, and at the end of the month I'm going to have some extra days, which is nice because then I'll throw something else in that I haven't stitched on this month. Okay, so now the next two are And Be Kind to One Another by Needlework Press. And this is stitched on a 28 count Vanilla Swirl Lugana that was dyed for me by Needleworkers Delight. And so last time you saw it, I had finished the alphabet, and there's a bird there, possibly a dove, and these three motifs. So I added the dog, and Be Kind to One Another, this motif, and the flowers. So next will be the numbers, the alphabet, and then the bottom. So basically you can say like I'm 2/3 of the way done. And the reason I'm telling you that on this is because I couldn't decide between this one and the next one, which would move forward to the next round. So the one that it was up against was Mary Clayton by Hands Across the Sea. Now, I'm somewhat of a symmetrical stitcher. I always assume that what's on one side is on the other side, and that's not the case, especially in this. Her borders are different, her borders, but the corners are different. In each corner it's different. This one doesn't have a flower in this section where the rest of them do. The gate actually is not the same level. I had to struggle with this. It wasn't the same place on this side as it was on this side. I think it was one down. So, I had to follow the pattern because I'm assuming the pattern's correct. There were a few different things that just did not match up. And you have to count the border because sometimes the border's not symmetrical either, the number of stitches between them. So I had to really pay attention on Mary Clayton. And this is stitched on a 28 count Ivory Lugana. And since you last seen it, I stitched this, it's supposed to be grass, but it's kind of brown. And the fence, the tree, brought down the this side with the flower, and then I went to this side and I brought down the border, and I finished the words. I didn't have all the words in, and instead of squeezing in the word years with over one stitching, I just abbreviated the Y and the R, and I did that motif there. So I had these bottom motifs that I have to finish, and then the bottom border. So I brought it to my Zoom meeting on Saturday, and I had them look at it, and they were trying to see, because I couldn't decide. First I'd say one, then I'd say the other, and we thought maybe these would go faster than And Be Kind to One Another. But it was decided that And Be Kind was closer to a finish than Mary Clayton. And so that's the one that I'm going to move forward with. And then finally, the last two were Little House Neighborhood by Little House Needleworks. Kringles. Oh, no, not Little House Neighborhood. That was the other one I showed you. This is Kringles by Little House Needleworks. And my goal for the year on this is to stitch this first set of rooms. So I had finished the roof, and I started this block. And I finished that first room. So when I picked this up, I had this top border stitched and a little bit of the tree, and I think maybe 2 trees. So I had to finish it, and then there's some Krynic in there. I don't think it'll show, but the candles on the tree have gold Krynic, his buttons on his jacket. These trees have some Krynic. But it's so funny because when I look at it, I can see the shimmer in it, but you can't see it on the video. So the next time, whenever it is that I pick this up, I'll continue on the bricks for the next room. Maybe I'll do all the bricks. I like working on the bricks on this. Okay. And that was up against, oops, this is the pattern, Spring Fling by Brenda Gervais. Let me take it out. This one's a little too glary. I moved some furniture around in here. I'm not directly in front of the window anymore. The window's to the side of me. So hopefully the lighting will be better. Spring Fling by Brenda Gervais. And this is stitched on a 28 count Angel Blush Lugana. Let me do the white side. And it's a finish. Now you can see the pink, how it's a very light pink, but really like it. And I think I told you in the last video that I had picked up the wrong color thread for the vine. I forgot what the vine's supposed to be, but I picked up Sticks and Twigs by Classic Colorworks, and I kind of like it. I think it pops. And then the little rabbit there, that was done in Magnolia Blossom, and I had another skein of Magnolia Blossom that was a little bit more yellow, so I was glad to find the Magnolia that I had enough of to finish the rabbit. I think it was more than one skein, but if I had to go into another one, I'd have to search to see that I didn't have one that wasn't so yellow. And that's a lot of stitching on that rabbit. Yeah. I think one night was just finishing the rabbit, and then the second night was actually completing the pattern. What I had, oh, I didn't tell you what I did, since basically I stitched these 2 flowers, the 2 birds. I had to finish the whole bottom section here of the rabbit, and 2 or 3 leaves, and then the little flower buds here. So really happy with the way that came out. So since that's a finish, Little House Kringles, Little House Needleworks Kringles will move forward. And here's my bracket. So this is what the bracket now will look like. Of the 2, of all these 8, I completed 3. So Christmas Garden, Little House Neighborhood, and Be Kind, and Kringles will be the next round for me. So that would be 2 days each. That would be 8 more days. So I hope to come back like on that 9th day in the morning, or sometime that day. I'll do a video, because I believe the way it fell, I have Caleb. So I said it'll either be if he's napping and I can get it in, or after he leaves in the evening. I'll jump on. It shouldn't be a long video. I'll share what how far I've gotten. And then because of this, there's only like 2, 4, 6 days here. I think I'll just move forward and then share it on my next video in April. I'll move into April, do some new starts, and this way I have some new things to show you. Alrighty, if you have any questions about this or comments, please leave them. I always like reading your comments. Okay, So my next video, oh, I have it here. My next floss tube should be March 23rd. And then after that, I'm going to shoot for April 5th. And I think on the April 5th, I'll do another giveaway. So speaking of giveaways, let's find out who was randomly selected from the random number generator. Number 1 was Indigo Lane by Brenda Gervais. I'm seeing more and more people stitching this. So I wish I had 12 copies to, hand out, but I only have one original. So Indigo Lane, we had 92 people put in for this. So I have 2 pages of names in the back. And it was called 36. Christina, I'm going to butcher this. Is it Derico or Derico? But Christina, you won Indigo Lane. So I'll leave my email address or Instagram. You can reach me through Instagram. Just message me and send me your address, and I'll get that in the mail to you. Number 2 was 'Twas the Night by Sue Hillis. 40 people put in for that, and this is what the pattern looks like. It's a gorgeous pattern. My friend Dee shared this pattern, and absolutely gorgeous, but for me, it was a little bit too much outlining. So she said to share it on my floss tube. And 40 people put in, and it was number 3, Robin Selby. Right there. All 40 people. And that was number 2. Number 3 were 2 patterns. The first was Ursula Michaels, Let's Do Coffee. That one. And the second one is a Shepherd's Bush April. Just trying to see where it says April. My hand is on it, that's why. April. And I had told you that this umbrella was a button, that it does not come with this. My friend Alva gave me this pattern, and I'm sharing it with you. So you can either, when she stitched it, she didn't have the button either. So we kind of got some graph paper and made a little umbrella shaped cross stitch, and she stitched it on. But I thought about it afterwards. She probably could have even, I don't know what the pattern looks like if it was raining, like if you can really tell it was raining. It says April showers. Need spring, let's see, April flowers need spring showers. So that's why I guess it was an umbrella. I was thinking maybe you can put a flower, her holding a flower. Anyway, the next one was number 4, and this was a fully finished that I showed in my last video. Oh, I didn't do number 3. Who won that? That was, let's see, 26 people put in for that, and Sandra Potter, number 8, was selected. And then number 4 was Once Upon a Time by the Frosted Pumpkin. And 54 people put in for that. And number 52, and that is Amy Schweihart. Hope I'm saying that correctly, Amy. Again, I'll put my email address below and my Instagram name, and if you can just send me your address, I'll get that in the mail to you. So those are the 4 winners. Okay, and that's it. So I'm just going to share a little bit of quilting for those of you who'd like to stay around and see what I've been up to in that respect. And before everybody leaves, I just want to remind people to continue praying for peace and hope that a truce can be reached so that peace can come forward from that truce. Okay. I can't talk too much about it. I get very upset. So I'm just going to keep going on to my quilting. Okay. I showed you the disappearing 4-patch, one that I stitched, and I put a backing to it, which is a pin dot, and I just started outlining it for quilting. So there's not much new to see on this side other than it has a batting and a backing, and this is how much I've quilted so far, just the boxes. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to free motion quilt in each of the boxes like a stippling, and I hope to get that done soon, even though I have time. But you know what, when you put things off, you don't get it done. So and then I told you about this in my last video that I watched Nell from Little Yellow House Quilts. She's a Flosstuber, and she does beautiful, beautiful finishing. And she showed some placemats that she had just finished for her family. And that was the second set she had made. And she said she did a tutorial. So I had watched the tutorial, and I says, I'm going to give it a try. And she had said that she bought the fabric from Walmart, which I shared with you in the last video, that my Walmart didn't really have anything that I liked. So I went to Joann's, and I happened to find something that was kind of barbecue-y, things you'd have at a barbecue. So it was a jelly roll, and this jelly roll had 20 strips. So I didn't know how many placemats I'd get from them. I was very frugal in being careful. I meant to bring the piece I had left. Basically, I had one piece about this length left of the 20 jelly roll pieces, and I was able to get 6 placemats out of it. So I was very happy with that. And then you had to get fat quarters. In this case, I needed 6 fat quarters for the backing, and I decided that I was going to make my own binding and stitch it on, and then I have to hand sew the binding. Nell did it on the machine. She did a beautiful job on that. And but since I only had 5 fat quarters that came in the bundle that was watermelon related, I searched in Joann's for separate fat quarters around the bottom ledge that they display them on, and I was looking for some kind of food that was served for a picnic, and I couldn't find anything, but I found a stripe that matched the one that I found for the backing. So I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so what I did was, these are them, and I totally finished this one. I hand stitched the binding, and if you can see, these are like barbecue items. These are hot sauces maybe, and then watermelon and corn, and maybe I think these are supposed to be ants, and then that's it. So it was only 5 different patterns. So you had to reuse the same one. So I just strategically try not to put them together and a little bit apart. And this is the second one that I completed. Now, same fabrics, just put in different places. And now this was a backing, and to me these are the watermelon colors. So some I did with a green binding, and some I did with a red binding. Now these are the ones that I haven't finished, I have to hand stitch the bindings over it, but this was the backing. If you look close, they're like watermelons. And this came with that 5-pack. This was the extra one, so I'll show that last. Then this was the next one that I did. And the backing on this, watermelon seeds. Oh, and I quilted them. I quilted on each side of the seam. And then finally, this one. And that's the back. And the extra one that I found that matched one of these was this one. And that was the first one I showed you finished. And I was able to get another piece of this backing. I don't think I showed you that one. They're watermelons. And that was the back on the red one. So I was very happy to get these done. and now I just have to do the handwork on them. So I have time till we sit out in the backyard and eat outside, but it's nice that I have 6. So I'm happy with them, and that's what I've been up to since we were last together. All right, that's it. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them, and I'll, if they're long responses, I will talk about it in my next video, or if it's a brief answer, I will definitely respond to you. This quilt right here, it's a pinwheel quilt that will be moved. It's going to go downstairs now that spring is in the air. I'm going to bring this down and take the more wintry one that I have up downstairs off. Whoa, sorry, I'm moving you around. Okay. Okay, guys, thank you so much for being with me to the end, and I hope to see you in a week or so. And be safe, pray for peace, and be kind. And on that note, love you guys. Bye.